Have you ever stopped to think about how often you try to control every detail of your life? How many times do you catch yourself worrying about things that are beyond your control, trying to solve everything in your own way, on your own time, as if it were possible to have total mastery over everything around you? I know that for many of us, this desire for control can become a constant source of anxiety and mental strain. The good news is that Jesus taught us a profound lesson on how to deal with this desire for control, and how it can bring peace of mind, peace of spirit, and even improve the quality of our lives. In the world we live in, we are constantly challenged to want to control everything: our finances, our relationships, work, health, future plans. The list is endless. The problem is that the more we try to control, the more overwhelmed we become. But Jesus teaches us a simple, yet powerful truth. True peace comes when we learn to let go and trust. Today, we will explore, based on biblical teachings, how Jesus teaches us to stop trying to control everything, and how this can transform our mental and spiritual peace, making us better people and providing us with a better quality of life. The invitation of Jesus to inner peace. Come to me. In Matthew 11:28-30, Jesus gives us a direct and loving invitation. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. This invitation is deep. Jesus acknowledges our burden, the weight we carry, and offers us relief. It's important to notice that Jesus doesn't tell us to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. He doesn't call us to live a life of incessant control, where we try to solve everything alone. On the contrary, He invites us to set aside the heavy burden and take His yoke. But what is this yoke? In the biblical context, a yoke was a tool used to join two animals, usually oxen, so that they would work together. Jesus is inviting us to work with Him, to not do it alone. When we try to control everything, our mind and spirit become overwhelmed. But when we give our concerns to Him and learn to trust, we find rest. This rest is not the absence of challenges, but the peace that comes from knowing that we don't have to carry the weight alone. This is liberating. When we learn to let go, our inner peace grows because we are no longer caught in a constant cycle of control attempts. The danger of controlling too much. The example of Martha and Mary. In Luke 10:38-42, we see the example of Martha and Mary. Martha was too busy with tasks and the worries of everyday life, while Mary chose to sit at Jesus' feet and listen to His teachings. Martha, concerned with what had to be done, became irritated with Mary and asked Jesus if He didn't care that she was left alone with the work. Jesus responded gently, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed, only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken from her." This passage is a great example of how the desire to control everything can take us away from what truly matters. Martha was so focused on tasks, on controlling every detail, that she missed the opportunity to connect with Jesus and hear His words. When we try to control too much, we often become disconnected from what really brings us peace and well-being. Martha was worried and upset about many things. This is no different from what happens when we are trying to control all aspects of our lives. The mental and emotional overload that comes from trying to control everything only makes us more anxious and distant from what truly brings peace, the presence of Jesus in our lives. Trusting in God, the path to mental and spiritual peace. In Proverbs 3:5-6, we find an essential principle for peace. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. God invites us to trust in Him, to let go of the reins and not rely on our own understanding. This doesn't mean being passive or neglectful, but rather trusting that God is in control, that He has a plan for our lives, and that we can rest in Him. When we trust in God, our mind and heart find rest. We no longer have to live with the anxiety of wanting to control every outcome, because we know that God is taking care of us. This kind of trust gives us peace and frees us from the constant need to control everything. Instead of being overwhelmed, we become more aware that the peace we seek comes from resting in God. Jesus also teaches us not to worry about the future. In Matthew 6:34, He says, "Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." When we let go of control, when we stop trying to predict every detail of the future, we are able to live in the present with more lightness and tranquility. The art of letting go. How this improves our quality of life. When we begin to understand what it means to trust God and let go of the need to control everything, it brings profound benefits to our mental and spiritual health. The simple act of trusting and handing over our worries to God reduces stress and anxiety, which are two of the greatest enemies of our mental peace. Modern studies show that anxiety and stress can seriously harm both physical and mental health. The constant pressure of wanting to control everything can lead to problems such as insomnia, high blood pressure, and even more serious illnesses. However, when we adopt the attitude of trusting in God, our body and mind have the opportunity to relax and regenerate. This not only improves our mental health, but also our quality of life as a whole. Additionally, by letting go, we become more receptive to God's guidance. When we are not bound to the desire to control every situation, we are able to hear His voice more clearly. Divine guidance becomes more apparent, and our life becomes smoother, without the weight of anxiety and excessive control. How? Letting go makes us better. The example of Jesus. In His life, Jesus demonstrated the ability to let go and trust fully in the Father. In the Garden of Gethsemane, in Matthew 26:39, He prays, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will." Even in the face of His greatest challenge, Jesus surrenders to the Father's plan, trusting that He had control and the best plan for him. This example of Jesus teaches us that letting go is not weakness, but a deep demonstration of faith. By learning to let go, by trusting God, we become more like Jesus. Instead of being bound to our desire to control everything, we can live with quiet confidence, knowing that God is in control. Conclusion. The peace that comes from letting go, learning to let go, to stop trying to control everything, is a key step in achieving true mental and spiritual peace. Jesus offers us a way to live with more serenity, more confidence, and more harmony by inviting us to cast our worries on Him and trust in His plan. If you feel overwhelmed by the desire to control your life, your relationships, your future, or any other area, remember Jesus' invitation to rest in Him. When you let go and trust, your mind will be more at ease, your spirit will be more serene, and you will experience a quality of life that doesn't depend on perfection or control, but on trusting in a God who cares for you. So today, make a choice. Choose to let go. Choose to trust. Choose the peace that comes from handing over control to God. This will transform your life, and you will live with more lightness, more joy, and a better quality of life. God is in control, and by resting in Him, you will find rest for your soul.